Alright, so I'm headed out back up 2. You can see it has no pins down at the moment. I always try to leave all of the lanes of pins down. So last night it was dropping the pins from all the way up above instead of just releasing them when it touches down on the ground. So what I've got to do right now is actually redo all of this chain work, because what's happening is the tubes are actually not coming up high enough. There is kind of a switch underneath. It has to come up high enough to have, you see that little metal piece right there? That's what holds the pins, and that's supposed to release at the bottom when it hits the floor. It is releasing almost as soon as the tubes start to go down, which is dropping all of my pins. So I've got to redo the wiring on that. So this is the actual base right here, and it is, get to it, this right here. So this actually has to come, this slides forward and it's supposed to sit behind it, and that's what keeps those metal pieces in place until it sets on the floor. And once it hits on the floor, it's this piece that comes up and pushes that up to release the pins. So what I've got to do is I've got to redo that chain work so that it gives it a little more, or not slack, sorry, to tighten the chain work so that it comes up higher, so that that is actually going down and releasing my pins only at the bottom, not from the top. So I'll show you guys what I'm doing with it all. So first things first is I'm going to put something under the table just so it is a little bit above the ground, which gives me the slack in the chain to be able to work with this. And this is the power arm right here. And so that's going to be facing towards the wall all the way. And so I'm going to have to take off the chain drive and take off the actual chain off of the sprocket here. And then I'm going to actually be lowering it a little bit to do that. Undo the bolts there, and so I'll explain a little bit more as I go too, so you guys aren't as clueless. But so right now I've got to find the right size to be able to take both of the bolts off here, but on the other side. So I'm gonna head and find something bigger than 5/8 right now. Getting in and out of these things is a pain in the butt. I usually just go from underneath and slide under, but holy moly, by the time I'm like in my 30s, I'm already going to be having some major back problems from these machines. So we're going to go over here. Alright, so we're going to go with the 11/16. I believe that's the one that's going to work. And we're going to go back over here. And slide out and in. Just like that. So this is my power arm right here. Gotta make sure it's facing the back when the tubes are all the way down. When the tubes are all the way up, that arm is actually gonna be facing the other way, just like on lane 3 right there. So that's already good. I'm probably gonna pull it up just a little bit more. And now what I'm gonna do is the chain drive, which is right here, where I'm going to undo those 2 bolts. After I do that, I'm going to push it towards the wall, take this chain off right here, and then I'm going to put some slack on this right here, because this needs about 1 inch of slack on there to be able to get those, tubes pulled up. And then I'm going to, pull the chain drive. We're going to put it back towards, get that chain back on that sprocket, and then test it and see if it works. And of course, to get in here, hopefully this is before I open so I don't have balls coming down here and having to actually move out of the way every time. But the seating here is not very nice, so I've just got to kind of make it the best I can. So, wish me the best. So now I've got those 2 bolts out. I took the chain off the sprocket here. I've got my droop here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back on there, and then put the bolts back on, and then run it through a test and see if she's good.